When families are supported before crises occur, everyone benefits. But knowing how well prevention efforts are working isn't always straightforward. It means looking closely, not just at outcomes, but at how programs reach children, youth, and families, how they're delivered, and whether they're making the intended impact. Across the country, jurisdictions are working to strengthen how they collect, understand, and use information about the services they provide. Developed by Chapin Hall, the CQI Measurement Toolkit for EBPs offers a practical way to bring evidence-based practice data into the everyday work of continuous quality improvement. It helps turn information into insight and insight into action, so that jurisdictions can ensure that the work happening on the ground connects more clearly with the goals we all share: stronger families, better outcomes, and lasting progress. So what does it look like to put that into action? Let's walk through how this tool can support that work. Here is the CQI Measurement Toolkit for Evidence-Based Practices, or more simply known as the Toolkit. On this first tab, the Table of Contents, we've outlined the 22 evidence-based practices, or EBPs, that are featured in the toolkit. For each of these EBPs, there's an X under how they're categorized by the Title IV Clearinghouse. Some of the programs, like Brief Strategic Family Therapy, for example, fall under multiple categories, so you'll see multiple X's in its row. The next tab is the Tool Guide, where we provide a bit of information about the purpose of the toolkit, as well as instructions about how you can navigate through this toolkit. We also provide detail about the steps that we took to gather this information from model developers or purveyors to ensure that it accurately reflects their recommendations and best practices. The next tab is Model Exploration, where we provide an overview of each of the 22 EBPs. Here, you'll see that we've included a general description of the program, its target population, program goals, recommended intensity, recommended duration, staffing ratio, staffing qualifications, caseload recommendations, training requirements, as well as who you can contact if you have any questions or would like to learn more about the model. We've also included how they're categorized by the Title IV Clearinghouse, as well as how they're rated by the Title IV Clearinghouse. Additionally, we've included how each program is rated by the California Evidence-Based Clearinghouse for children and families involved with the child welfare system. Lastly, we've outlined which jurisdictions have included each EBP in their Family First Prevention Plan as of June of 2025. The next tab is Standardized Agency Capacity. This tab features measures that can be standardized across any agency implementing a prevention service, not just the EBPs. Here we've outlined staffing indicators, data to be collected for each indicator, as well as who might be responsible for collecting and tracking these data points. The next tab is Standardized Reach. On this tab, we've included 4 main reach domains, including eligible Title IV agency-involved candidates, eligible community pathway candidates, EBP referrals to providers, and lastly, EBP service uptake. Within each reach domain, we've outlined indicators that track specific data that should be captured, the minimum child level data elements recommended, as well as the format or value that these minimum child level data elements come in. The minimum child level data elements also align with requirements for data file submission outlined in Technical Bulletins 1 and 2 from the Children's Bureau. We've also outlined where corresponding data for each of the indicators will likely come from. For example, a jurisdiction's SACWIS, CWIS, or an agency-specific database management system. Lastly, we track who might be responsible for tracking each data element. The subsequent worksheets in this toolkit are individual worksheets on each of the 22 EBPs. Let's walk through one together. Here is the worksheet for multisystemic therapy, or MST. As on every worksheet, at the top, we've outlined who developed the model, who the primary person of contact is, as well as that person's email and phone number. Let's move to the first domain. In the capacity domain, there are 3 measures: supervisor to practitioner ratio, caseload for full-time and part-time staff as applicable, and the recommended duration of services. For MST, the model developer shared that there should be one supervisor for every 4 therapists. The full-time caseload of a therapist is usually about 4 to 6 families at a time, and part-time therapists are not allowed per the model, and families can expect to participate in MST for 16 weeks or about 4 months. Let's move to the next domain, Fidelity. Fidelity is the extent to which the program was carried out with adherence to the intended approach. Here you can see that we've included fidelity measures, indicators, target levels, which form might be used to collect data, how often and by whom data is collected, and lastly, the data system where providers may store these data. For some of the EBPs, the model developer does not provide a data system for its providers, so providers are responsible for collecting data using their own systems, often Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. Next, we've outlined where standardized data may be reported, who might be responsible for reporting data to the Title 40 agency if they'd like to review data as part of their continuous quality improvement processes, and lastly, which steps, costs, and documents are associated with sharing data, such as an MOU or a DSA. Lastly, we have short-term outcomes, which is laid out in a similar structure as Fidelity. Outcomes measure the extent to which the services are achieving the desired results for children and families. The outcome measures here are prescribed by the model developer for children and families who are eligible for services under the Family First Prevention Services Act, or FFPSA. The model developer may have a larger array of outcome measures for the other populations that they serve. Learn more at chapinhall.org/CQI-EBP data.